last week we were down around 1%. What is driving trade at this point in time? It seems that most investors are waiting to hear on the banking results, fourth quarter results that are set to come to the fore soon.
I think the lack of tangible information is generally causing the current trends we are seeing. And I think before we start getting new information that is likely to cause excitement amongst investors, we are likely to see the current trend persisting probably until sometime into next month.
Well, Isaac, I mean, touching on KPLC, and this company started trading its new shares today. It's one of the oldest companies on the NSE as well. Your view on this, and how did it perform in today's session? Most market participants were expecting it to trade between the range of around 20 shillings to around 25 shillings a share.
Well, the price closed at around 22 shillings and 25 cents per share, which was more or less expected because of the new number of shares coming into the market. Of course, with some investors choosing to take their profits against the prices they bought in December last year. So the trend was by and large expected, and of course, one of the impacts of the new shares coming to the market was a fourfold increase in equity turnover, with the bulk of that being accounted for by the KPLC shares. But as we move forward, I think we're likely to see some resistance, probably at the 24 shillings, 25 shillings range, before we start getting more information coming in.
Well, it's quite interesting you say that. What kind of information is the market going to be looking out for? Because it seems that electricity demand is surging quite extensively. We're looking at growth for Kenya coming in at 5.2% this year. So perhaps is that a good enough outlook for investors to start piling into the company and help the share price breach that 24, 25 shillings a share?
I would say the key issue actually is weather patterns, and more so because of the impact that will have on their production in terms of the various sources that they have. Hydro, of course, might be reduced. Perhaps thermal or diesel generated might go up with the resultant increase in fuel prices, or rather electricity prices to consumers, and that in itself might not have a very good impact. So the feeling is generally that if weather conditions turn out to be okay, then there shouldn't be anything to worry about. But again, of course, there's also the other issue of rising demand from the fast recovering economy, growing economy, and that should still continue to play favorably to the company in terms of turnover. So generally, it should be a company to watch.
A competition in Kenya seems to be heating up not only in the telecom sector but also in the cement industry. Portland Cement diversifying further in terms of the range of its products, and it seems that it's definitely going to be one of those big competitive factors for the likes of BAMBURI Cement, which also focuses on very similar projects. How do you think this is going to impact the overall cement industry in Kenya?
I think one of the interesting things about the cement industry is, the possibility that infrastructure projects have for them. And just looking at the sheer volumes in terms of the scale of projects expected, I think they should be enough to go around as far as the companies are concerned. Well, bearing in mind that you basically have three key main players in the industry. Barring the influence of imports on the industry, I think by and large they stand a very good chance to grow their business this year.
Isaac, I mean, which of the companies would you be buying into, the likes of Portland Cement or BAMBURI? And also just touching on the fact that Athi River also introduced its foray into South Sudan. So clearly a lot of these companies that want to be exposed to the infrastructure spend on a global level, and perhaps more so in the African continent as well, are starting to be very innovative in terms of their growth prospects.
Yes, I think by and large, from an investment point of view, one wouldn't go wrong with either one as a choice. And again, on the basis of the expected growth of the building and construction industry, and of course, mainly again driven by the prospects that infrastructure carries with it. So I think, given the dynamics of the market currently, either would still be a good company to put your money in.
Bharti Airtel seems to be under scrutiny by the other players in the telecoms industry. We've just heard news that Telkom Kenya has filed a complaint against Bharti Airtel to the CCK. Of course, Safaricom's share price has come under significant pressure. And one of the responses that came through from the Communications Commission of Kenya is that it's not going to be a permanent thing. I mean, these tariffs that have come through from Bharti Airtel, that it is just about promoting the company. How do you think this is going to be taken up by the other competitors?
Well, it is interesting actually. The low charges, currently being levied by Airtel are definitely an issue that's really affecting the market. And of course, there's the issue of how sustainable they are. And I think by and large, probably 2011 is actually going to be the year where we'll actually see how sustainable their pricing strategy is. Because as you know, you can only carry on a price war for so long before it starts affecting your turnover and of course your bottom line. So I think probably I would give it another 3 months or so in terms of actually gauging the sustainability of their strategy.